Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. And here we are in my elevator office of elevator music, and I'm waiting for a friend who lives in the neighborhood, Mojad, right? I ordained him as the minister of joy and fun. He's a guy who came from New York City. His parents, his family were restaurateurs, right? And he led a relatively comfortable life of upper middle class. I think his family's reformed too. So, I mean, they really didn't like Orthodox or conservative. They were liberal people who led their material life, and so that was his life, material life. So he got to do whatever he wanted to do, pretty much, and restrained by the codex of the meat puppet. And so by the time he got off to college, he was, existentially challenged, but he didn't even know it. He was just unhappy. Had no reason to be unhappy within the codex of the material meat puppet. He had everything he kind of wanted. Right? No one's telling him what to do. And so he didn't last college in Florida, and he went, which was, basically your basic party school. And they could have party those 4 years, but he was unhappy. He went to California in the 80s, I guess, early 90s. And he decided that he was going to hit while the iron's hot. Everyone's making money. And he saw that movie with Michael, what's his name? When it said, greed is good. So that was his, he was embracing the codex of the upper middle class of the meat puppet of ego, and became an investment banker. And all it did was make him more miserable. Right? So quit that and became like a bartender. And he that's a mean, ornery bartender. And we did that for, I don't know, 10, 20 years. And he found himself in Banner Oak, North Carolina. The heart of materialist meat puppet, emotional, spiritual PTSD dystopia. Because in the 80s, while he was partying in Miami and then going to California to hit it big as the investment banker, the mob had come into Blue Ridge in the Appalachian, everything between Asheville and Johnson City and Kingsport. That area between the 1870s And the 1970s was America's Silicon Valley, not making integrated circuits, but doing the alchemy of chemistry, turning natural gas into plastic and everything else, including the atomic bomb. And that's why Oak Ridge was there. Because Oak Ridge, unlike Los Alamos that made the gadget, Oak Ridge, doing the alchemy of turning yellow cake, which was uranium oxide, and purifying it into official material. And between 1870 and 1970, some of the entities like Kodak Chemical, Monsanto, Bayer, that was Nazi through and through. Entities like GE, Westinghouse, Univac. We're here. That's why ETSU is where it is and why it is so good. I mean, unlike App State, which is just a ridiculous extra party school. Brainwashing people to be woke instead of awake. Well, even my welder's glasses, my eyes are being a little sensitive the last few days. I need to feel, especially when I go out and about. So here we are, been speaking for 7 minutes and 42 seconds. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Dreamy Dreams. I am with Sensei Bob. AI is here. I don't know, I can't tell. Maybe one thumbs up. Thank you, AI. Yesterday we had a nice chat. And before I could get around and read what everyone was saying, because when I started out, just like now, nobody was saying anything. And then I got into a riff and I was talking to people on the phone. Talked to Lana. And I talked to, Mo Jeff, Minister of Joy and Fun. And if you listen to the show yesterday, and it went up because what happened, right when I was realizing, I better end the show because my battery is dying, my battery died. So it had to go to its and put the show up on YouTube, and it takes a little longer that way. And then I had to reboot the thing after I charged it up last night. So anyway, it's up there. It's an interesting show. There's a lot of information there, just like every of my 2,000 shows. Each of these shows are shamanic ceremonies. That's why people enjoy them. That's why people mostly, some people come on live and join the chat. They're part of the cadre, and that's great. But other people just listen to it as wallpaper, right? And that's okay too. That's actually fine. And every time I go into a show, before I do it, I go into state and I bring forth shamanic energy that I place into each show. So I'm like the shamanic pebble in the World Wide Web. So. So I have no teeth. Last week I went to the dentist to make sure my head was doing fine. They did a panoramic X-ray. It looked like I was the Grand Canyon. But one thing about not having teeth, you really have to chew your food. And when you chew the food, as long as I do, you're the last guy at the table. And you usually take a box home. Well, one reason I was able to lose 240 pounds is I took my teeth out because they were rotting out of my head. I had my mom's teeth, not my dad's. And so I eat food a lot slower, therefore I eat a lot less food. And
Allie, does customer service desk, please? Allie, does customer service desk?
so I was out about on the bop between Thanksgiving and 2 weeks ago. And I came back, I was here for Christmas, which was, I wish I could have been someplace else because it was 60 degrees below zero here. When the wind chill was 120, it was like colder than Antarctica, right? And the things they don't tell us is what's going on in Antarctica, and why is the moon just like the Death Star, and why are the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, which are they are almost on the outer end of our solar system. They're the great giants. We're on the inner ring; they're on the outer ring, and all of their moons had been when we sent the satellites to go check out our solar system in the 1970s and 80s. We sent a couple of things to Jupiter, a couple of things to Venus, and a couple of things to Saturn, and they weren't just flybys, but that were the early ones. They went into orbit around those planets and took real serious measurements, and just not pictures, but everything else they could sling on that satellite. And so the moons were these water planets. I mean, Earth is a water planet. The majority of what's on the inside of the planet is water. They don't tell you that one. And Muammar Gaddafi understood that. And one reason why Muammar was taken out was that it's not that he had a lot of oil, he had really good oil, right? So it wasn't like really crappy oil like Saudi oil. Right? So that has to be refined a good deal. His oil could be almost, straight put in your, if you had a diesel, you could take the stuff out of the ground that they had in Muammar's country, Libya, and drive with diesel. But what his real thing was, when the Europeans, were about to start taking the oil from the Libyans, he had a overthrow the government, right? And he took over, and he wore, he was like Bono, sunglasses, and he was a rock star kind of guy. And he was a smart boy because what he did was, they had an element of industry there. So he developed their own oil industry, meaning digging it, piping it, refining it, right? So he didn't just export, the crude, that's why I call it crude oil. He refined it and sold high-end products, right? And he took that money and he built homes for everybody, built hospitals for everybody, built schools for everybody, gave everyone a job in his industrious country. And so his drilling abilities were, right up there with Exxon and BP. So he realized that the Earth was a water planet, so he dug past the oil into where there's all this water. Our weather doesn't come from the sky, it comes from the Earth. That's something they don't tell you. And so he pulled out this unbelievably pure water and irrigated that whole desert. And around the time that they took him out was when he was selling more vegetables to the EU than oil, right? And so he had refined products, He had oil and gas, he had vegetables, and he had consumer items. So he had covered everything. He wasn't really importing anything, and he was getting paid in gold. He wasn't taking treasury notes, right? And that's why they took him out, because he was too much of a bad example for the unipolar transnational fascist oligarchy, right? So they took him out. And he wasn't doing anything. I mean, his people loved him. And the first thing that NATO blew up were all those water wells, not the oil wells, because they wanted those. Right? They got rid of Omar's water, right? And got rid of the ability of the Libyan people to feed themselves, right? And then took out power, communication, and transportation, and housing. So he made, NATO made that country of about 17 million people from probably one of the most affluent countries in Mideast and in Europe, because he was right on the border, right, of the Mediterranean. So anyway, and he didn't build up an army, right? He tried to do what Korea did. He tried to build the apparatus for a nuclear weapon, right? But he was too close to the fine line. And Israel, which isn't a Jewish state, it's more an Anunnaki state. And the Anunnaki are basically the Aryan folk. So, this song always reminds me of Doctor Who. One of the songs that make my heart sick. Now, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. We're talking about those things that they won't tell you about, right? Who's living down there in Antarctica? And I first want to thank those 4 people who, since Thanksgiving, 2 months now, 4 people have sent something into my PayPal. And I would really, really appreciate if you guys, more of you watched, more of you folks told your friends about Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Alba, more people subscribed, more people gave some thumbs up so the algorithm could get somewhere. And if you want to do something for the planet, have a Dreamy Dreamland, Sensei Alba, out of dinner. That is if we have a nice freeze. Right, friends over, we'll bring over stuff. My basins, yummies, and you watch the show. And you could curate. Right? I asked all of you to watch all of the shows. Go look at them. Go all the way back 5 years ago. And start with that first show where I'm coming out of the phone store going, hey, you guys just signed me up for YouTube. And here I am doing it. And it was like coming out the door, from the parking lot, out to the first one. And I'm close to 2,000, if not more. So, and the all shamanic ceremonies are all there to enlighten you, right? All there. And you can be the decider. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you, don't believe a word I say, or anybody else. Let this song go into your heart. Man, I'm insane. Oh. And that's one of the beauties of Doctor Who. They really try to push the envelope, right? They try to follow good old the guy who did Star Trek. Everything in Star Trek is what's going on, right? To push Star Trek produced it, wrote it, birthed it. Was, what's his name? But he had been in the military and he had been in intelligence, so he saw a lot of this stuff now. They just don't tell us. And so he quit the military, he got sick of that. And he started writing TV, for TV, like Gunsmoke and Rifleman and stuff like that, and Wagon Train. And CBS had, he wrote a few things for Twilight Zone, which was a CBS thing. And then they had Lost in Space. And so he came up with this idea of Wagon Train in space. And that was the pitch he gave to NBC. And his name would pop into my mind. It will, sooner or later. And they were like, I don't know. And they gave him some money to do a pilot. They said it was too cerebral. But he had produced it at Paramount with Lucille Ball, Desi Lu, right? And he went to her and said, why don't you do this? And she did. And she was producing most of NBC's shows, especially their Westerns, because Paramount had this big lot out in the desert. And they did all these cowboy movies. And so they said, okay. She did anyway. And she went to NBC and said, okay, give us one season. Let's see if the people like this. But she showed all this demographics, how people like sci-fi. And then sci-fi actually was making a lot of money for Hollywood because those movies cost them nothing to make. And they never had a super duper star, that they had to pay money to. And so, NBC said, okay. And so they did. And it was, 20% more popular than the benchmark. They said, if you get over that, we'll give you another season. Well, it was 20% more than over what they said, if we get over this, we'll give. So they did another season. And I said it again. You get 20% over that, which was, 40%, 60% more than what they started out with. Well, they did that too. And yes, it had a limited audience, but the audience was so amazing. So, Lucy was really smart business girl, so was Desi. And so they said to NBC, you don't own this show, you're just running it. You get all, you pay us X amount episode to run it, and you take the rest. So NBC was really making some money on the, because they were making twice advertisement a book as any other show, because Desi Lu just took what it cost to make the show and about 10% more, right? But they owned it, right? So about 7 years after Star Trek wasn't there, they put it into circulation, especially when cable came in. And that was the most watched show over 20 years than anything else, right? And that's why Gene Roddenberry, that's the guy. They came on with Gene Roddenberry's, Next Generation. And then, but before that, he did this show called Gene Roddenberry's Final Contact, right? And that was that was like, in competition with V that I think NBC had. So, and that's just the tip of the hat of the things they don't tell us. They put things in movies and on TV just to give us a slight, hey, this is what's going to happen soon, so don't be too upset when it does, because we're making it happen, but we're doing it on our schedule. Now, what has occurred, when we went out of the Piscean age at the Mayan calendar's end, wasn't end of time, it was end of that time. It's end of getting what you want through violence time. Going into the Aquarian age is getting what you need through love's co-creation. So that's what's occurring. That's why everyone's so upset, because they're experiencing post-traumatic PTSD, right? And the thing that the trauma they're experiencing is the lack of love. I mean, God's unconditional love is right there, right? But the reptiles are keeping it from it by wars and pandemics and economic crashes. None of this stuff, this ain't weather, and even our weather is controlled. You know, the diseases that we're getting is coming from that. Now, what is disease? But the lack of ease, right? And the main causer of this lack of ease, this disease, is inflammation. And where is the inflammation coming from? It's coming from like a meal I just ate. You know, I had, I had vegetables. I did have mac and cheese, and I had fried shrimp. You know, and most people, oh, that's a pretty healthy meal. There was, no sodas. I had no cakes. Someone just jumped in and said hello. Let's see. Morning, y'all. Hey, there's Fish. Hey there, sweetie. And so we're not being told any of this. We're meant to suffer. And the poor people in Ukraine, they're suffering, right? And they're suffering, their PTSD. And that's why the hidden hand is causing all of this trauma, because it will be stuck in people's psyches for the rest of, for like many generations. They're trying to keep the Aquarian agents back as far as they can, but you can't stop love. And so the more they do that, they're going against the dharmic wheel. You don't want to go against the dharmic wheel, right? So I could have done a lot of things. I mean, I had many opportunities to be more than the dude, right? To be part of the hidden hand. Now I work for him because one of the things I'm drawn to is understand what's going on. So I was, right? But I was way back, in the shadows, which is fine by me. Every time I saw somebody who really might be able to do something, I kind of push them forward. Like if you go to yesterday's show and we were talking to Mojaf, a minister of Joy and Fun, and he, I gave him, I call him up every now and then, because he's still that guy back when he was, in California and in Florida and in New York, But he's realized, through hanging out with me, that hey, there's something different, and he's going. So he's, writing, and I said, you should write a book, because he doesn't really read. I said, so he had to read some books. I gave him a few, and then he got. So everything he reads is basically a help book, a new age book. In reality, you should be reading a plethora, classics, and and so. All the years that I've been helping people, I always give them books to read. And on my birthday, it's my birthday. One of the 128 of my godchildren in New York, a kid, all of them were my electrical helpers, right? All of them, I gave them a place to live, like in an abandoned building or some place that they couldn't really get thrown out. And if they built it up, they could have it at the end of the day as an asset. And I taught them a trade, how to be an electrician. Not everyone, they all learned how to be electricians. They all did that. But some became movie stars, Some became that girl, and her name is Dawson, is her last name. I forget her first name. She was in, her first big movie was the movie she did about, the Greek leader who left the libraries everywhere. She was one of the queens he had, and then she was in a whole bunch. She was in a Men in Black movie. She was a queen from space, and she was working a pizza shop. I forget her name. First name she escapes me, but her last name was Dawson. And she was one of the little kids and mommy was, they were living in a cardboard box. We put them, it was a mommy and 3 kids. They hit, that's the people we put in those buildings, not tweakers, not drug addicts, not morons, but people who had a family and a responsibility. And so that girl became a multi-zillionaire movie star. And every time she would go on Johnny Carson or whoever, a talk show at night to talk about a movie, all she talked about was homesteading. And they would go, "Oh, you squatted the building." And she goes, "No, we homestead. We took buildings," and she'd explain the whole thing, homestead activating, and basically would, in her 5-minute speech, not talk about the movie, but talk about how you people at home who are homeless, you could do this too. I mean, I was homeless, and here I am, a millionaire, being a movie star. And most of the kids who I was a Dutch uncle to succeeded. She was at the top end, but everyone else in the middle all went and did their dream, right? And that's what I wanted to do. So this one kid, out of the blue, got a hold of me, and he sent me a box. And he liked to, he didn't know he liked to read, and I started giving him books. I like to read. And so then I started giving him real books, St. Augustine, philosophy books, theology books, and classic Moby Dick, and Tale of Two Cities, and I gave him a book called it's about English Navy of the 18th century, commander, master and commander. And he sent all these books, not the ones the ones I gave him, but not the physical ones, but the ones that he found them in like online or in a used bookstore. And so he sent me a box of these T-shirts. I don't know if you can see. No, this isn't what. No, this is the NATO T-shirt. No, this my friend in NATO sent me this. But he sent me T-shirts like this one that said ethical electrical. And I used to say to all the families, you have to do this job with an ethical attitude. You can't just slap dab stuff together because it's electricity. It's dangerous. To electrocute someone to start a fire if you don't do it right. And I don't want to have to come back and fix it. So he made it. So anyway, he sent me this box of T-shirts and books, and basically, with this nice little letter saying, "Hey, I just found you here on YouTube, and like most of those kids who reached out to me would say, how come you're not on Facebook? Why aren't you doing blah blah blah?" Anyway, so he said he talked to the girl who got married. Because all those kids still are, if they're in New York, they're still tight. They're like a family. And he said, I still have that apartment. I went on and got into the union. The people the guy you handed me off to work for, his shop went union. I got in the union. I got up in the administrative side of it and became a master in the union. And then I was able to take the license. And I got my own master's license in New York and my own business. And I call it Ethical Electrical, right? After you. Then he said I had 4 kids, and they had a place to grow up. I put them all through college. They all kids, and now I have like 7 grandchildren. And I have a very nice house out in Queens, over in the nice neck of Queens, and another nice house in Connecticut. I have a business in Connecticut, and I still have the house in New York that I turned over to all my kids, and that's their base of operation in New York. And 3 of them started businesses in the Lower East Side. They have a restaurant, a bookstore, and an art gallery. And it's all because of you. And, it brings tears to my eyes. But that's just one of 128. That's what you out there in Banjo Lane need to start doing. Just start out with have a potluck dinner once a month or twice a month. Call the salon of like minds, an acquiring society, right? And have a part of it as have it in somebody's house that has a nice big screen and hooks up to the internet and can run our shows, right? And have that person and this crew, everyone goes to everyone's different house and everyone picks a show that they really like, and you just put it on the screen and you don't like, but you just keep it there as wallpaper. And people who want to watch it can, and others who want to be in another corner of the house and have another conversation, or you know what I mean? And by doing that, you will start doing other things. And when you do other things for other people other than yourself, that's when you start having life, right? And that's when you start not having to be told what to think. You're the decider. Right? So I have to keep an eye on the time because I have another doctor's appointment coming up. So I'm going to have to leave in about 15, 20 minutes. So, how much do I have left on the battery? Because I don't want to, it's not good for me to end the show with the battery dying. Everything has to reboot itself. It goes, why would we do that? And so it's been 36 minutes and 58 seconds. I'll talk a little longer. And what do you guys say? Are you guys saying anything? Let's see. Esoteric. Morning. So anybody got anything to say before I leave about what I've been talking about? That the fact that you aren't being told what's going on. What do you feel is going on? So, like I said, I'm leaving about 15 minutes for this doctor's appointment, and then I'm going to drive home before it starts raining, and I'll drive up to my neighbor's Wi-Fi a mile before my house and go on again. So I wish you guys could, share your emails with each other and start, having discussions of the cadre without me. It's okay. I'm flattered that we do this during the show, but you guys could get way more connected. Because the first part of the show, you spend saying things like "morning," "hey, how you doing?" Instead of getting into it, right? Because right about when you're at the time to get into it, I gotta go, right? Or the battery dies, right? Because yesterday I went to look. Let's see if I can find it. See what you said yesterday. Let's go. There we go.
I'm in a super tight zone right now. This is the tightness before I believe I'm on the precipice or something. But right now, it's till I have my meeting with Angela on my thing. And so all the cockroaches are coming in.
I don't know why I can't see the live chat. Comments on the comments, but you guys were chatting up a storm and then you can't find it. I don't know why. Well, well, let's see. Uh, uh, okay, that's a good idea. Email to me, and I will, give everyone's emails through you emailing me. So you can get a hold of me at the dudewake42 at gmail, dudewake42 at gmail. And I look forward to hearing from you. And I'm going to try, 90%. I'll do another show later this afternoon. Right now, it's about 12:30. I got to go in about 10 minutes. So I will probably get back to the deep clean around 2:30, somewhere between 2:15 and 3 o'clock. I will come back. I won't have how much battery. I have 64%. So that show will probably only be 30, 40 minutes long before I have to stop it so the show doesn't just die like it did yesterday. But it went up there. So all those conversations I had, the chats, I don't know why they don't go up. You folks who, I'll talk to you fish later. You can tell me how to find the chats after when I go back and look at the show after it goes up on my channel. So, because see, I have no idea. Like, guys like Joe Rogan, they, oh, there she is. There you are, Fish. How you doing, girl? Are you there, Fish? Okay, so here I see. Yes. I have a Apple device, and it has my little cord that goes in there is Apple, so it even the charger doesn't have a USB. It goes hardwired into the charger. So, no, no, and it's all Apple, meaning yes, they plug into my laptop, but it's not a USB or a common plug. And that plug has a long wire that goes into the transformer that plugs into the 110. And usually all of those have a USB, so you can plug it in your car. This doesn't. It's hardwired into that transformer. So the only way you can charge the laptop is to have it plugged into a wall. Right? Right, right. Oh, okay. I'll see if I can. Because I'm sure it doesn't take long to shoot. But, right. And but that's Apple. They do everything to disrupt, so you have to buy Apple shit and nothing else. Yeah. Oh, of course they did it on purpose. Yeah. So how about the other question I had? How come I can't see on my phone when I look at my channel? I can see the show that I did yesterday, but I can't see the chat. Right. So yesterday's show, the one I did on Sunday, and that was a nice one. Yeah, you were there, and Lana was there, and I talked to the Mo Jeff, the Minister of Joy and Fun, and I think I talked to somebody else. But that went on for a long time, about 3 hours, and then Lana got back. Right? 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 chat. Okay, let's see. I'm going to put you on that.
They started printing on for the show.
Right. I'm going to try and see if I can get to still talk to you and get to. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. I'll go over here. You're still there, right? Okay, let's see. Go to that, and there I am. Okay. Putting on my glasses so I can actually see the screen. And so I'm going to go back. It's a live chat. I hit live chat. And then there's squiggly lines at the bottom, right? I hit those. And live chat apply is on manage. Is on. Manage that appeared when the stream was live will show up here. It's not. Well, it's not showing up here. Come on, show up here. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. It showed up. Okay. 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 Now I know. Okay. Yep. There it is. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So next time I'm on the highway, I will. There's 2 truck stops I can stop at. Right. I have, and I know where they are. I'll go in and see what they got. I might even. I mean, the Dollar Tree might not have it, but Walmart's might have it. There are a couple other stores I go for stuff like that.
Yeah, or the dollar store.
And the Tractor Supply might even have it. Tractor Supply might even have it.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not seeing it there.
Right.
Or at least not down here.
Right. Well, I'm always surprised at the interesting things, Track. And my other go-to place is Harbor Freight. Oh, it does. Real cheap. You can buy a whole set of tools, hand tools, for $11. Where if you were to buy just, and they're pretty good. Yeah, they're crappy Chinese stuff, but they'll last you years. And they have all the tools you need for like $11. And instead of you're at Lowe's, just a side cutter costs $30. I don't need a $30 side cutter. Like for $50, you can go into Harbor Freight, get yourself a nice little toolbox, a set of those hand tools, side cutters, all the different, dikes, all the other needle nose, everything, and a whole selection of crazy screwdrivers, and a battery-powered screwdriver, and a really good flashlight, probably for under $50. Right. 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 But that's why you need a toolbox, because you always put it there, and then you put the toolbox where you know it is, and then you know where your tool is. Yep. So go hit Harbor Freight, and also get yourself a pair of either clear or yellow safety glasses for $1. They have them for $1. And they'll have a packet of a dozen good work gloves for $3. So get yourself a packet of those and safety glasses and the hand tools and the box, and put it all in there, because early on, when I was in the union, and I saw people just like lose their eyesight, lose fingers because of infected cuts, I just started wearing gloves and started wearing, safety glasses, and I didn't lose my eyesight.
Yeah.
And people would say, "Why are you wearing those things?" And then they'd lose an eye. But I mean, I did it because I worked every day in an environment where stupid shit would happen all the time. Like one time. Right. I know, up front, yes. But listen, baby, I have a doctor appointment in about 10 minutes, so I'll call you later when, yeah. You know, go online at work to Harbor Freight and see the stuff they got.
Harbor Freight, they didn't have, at least on their website, it didn't show. That's what I was looking at. But I'll look at, I'll call you and let you know why.
Yeah, so I'll be back online around 2:30 or so. Okay, yep. Read it. Okay, so that's it, gang. Gotta go. See what time is it now. Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. So, okay. So I'll see you in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, okay? So tell everyone to come on board, and I'll see you when I see you.
Come on.